Questionable conduct. I am the law. Judge Howe is a stain on the legal system of Newfoundland and Labrador. The following is a brief description of the abusive and illegal actions undertaken by Ms. Howe while acting in her official capacity as a provincial court judge. Ms. Howe predetermined a matter in front of her. Predetermined a matter means that Ms. Howe decided to a case before her without hearing all the evidence and was fully informed that important evidence was still being hidden by either the police and/or Crown prosecutors. While predetermining this matter, Ms. Howe abused her power as a judge in three ways. First, she created multiple interim peace bonds. Second, she created an unsigned 10-day peace bond. Finally, she invented something she called an interim peace bond with no end date. These things do not exist in statutory law. She then forced the victim to sign this final interim peace bond or be put in jail. This final interim peace bond was used to retroactively lay criminal charges on the victim. This means that when the victim committed the supposed criminal act, what he did was not illegal at the time. However, by first inventing an unsigned 10-day peace bond and then forcing the victim to sign a backdated interim peace bond, what the victim did in the past became illegal despite it being legal when the victim committed the act. Ms. Howe, as a judge, did not have the statutory authority to create these fictional peace bonds, nor did she have the authority to fabricate new statutory law as she did. Over the months and then years of these interim peace bonds, the victim tried to change the conditions of these peace bonds, which were being used maliciously to separate the victim from his infant child. The baseless charges laid due to this final, illegitimate peace bond were eventually dropped by the prosecutor on the day of the trial, and no evidence was called. This means that the prosecutor had no case, frankly. The prosecutor had been playing hardball and was trying to force an innocent person to plead guilty to baseless charges. This tactic is all too common in Canada, frankly. The effects of this abuse of judicial authority have been devastating to the victim. Yet Ms. Howe's actions did not end there. While she was engaged in her abuse of power fabricating these illegal interim peace bonds, Ms. Howe also attempted to lay another criminal charge against the victim. The victim's supposed criminal behavior appears to have been trying to file too many court documents. These spurious allegations went nowhere, and the investigation ended when Ms. Howe was required to talk to the police herself rather than through an intermediary. The victim attempted to file an official complaint against Ms. Howe twice, and his complaint was rejected both times. The cost of appealing the rejected complaint against Ms. Howe in court, if a lawyer could be found, would be exorbitant and are outside the financial means of the victim. The victim was further told that Ms. Howe had done nothing wrong by the supposed Complaints Review Committee, a committee made up of a judge, a justice, and a patronage appointment. The victim was told his only choice was appealing the fake peace bonds through the normal legal process. The victim had been trying to use the normal legal processes the entire time and had been obstructed by the court in his attempts. Partly due to Ms. Howe's actions, the victim lost his ability to work, his child, and was charged criminally for years. The above is an example of justice and the supposed rule of law in Canada for the average citizen fighting against an abusive judge who was making up statutory law as she went.